Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the Daily Market Insight for Thursday, the 27th of April. All right, now the markets, okay, they look like there's some trading opportunities, but to me, it's discombobulation across the board, and it's difficult to trade in these conditions. Now, you might have some short-term trades like the dollar index just drifting lower, but I'll show you in a second. It's still within a sort of recent ranges. Euro, another little tweak to the downside, ends up a little bit higher. Now, don't forget, we got the ECB next week. Gold just drifting sideways. Now, one of the big safe haven plays has been Bitcoin. I don't know. There's been a few recommendations to buy, especially with the concerns around the US banking sector. But I don't know if that's a stitch up because it's dropped $3,000 today, and that sort of stinks a bit. Now, equities, okay, even with good earnings from Microsoft and a few other companies, the equities are taking a hit on the weakening US economy. And also the sort of concerns around the banking sector, right? They still have not been put to bed. Oil drifting lower finally, right? All those traders thinking that gap was going to be filled. Well, I tell you what, it has been. So that's where we are with the major instruments. Now, if I drill into the, say, currencies, and I've got these trend channels up here as well, just to sort of show you exactly where things are going. And this is where the confusion is, right? The dollar index still drifting lower. Dollar Swiss, probably the best technical trading pair. Dollar yen still drifting higher and then slowly breaking down. And you've got dollar CAD moving to the top side, of course, with oil falling, right? So it pushes dollar CAD up. So we've got euro sort of still drifting higher. Sterling had a nice little rally through the day. Aussie under pressure. Okay, weaker CPI numbers, and Kiwi as well. Now, in normal market conditions, right, these bottom four should seriously be going the same way. They are all quoted against the US dollar the same way, but they're not. And likewise for the ones at the top here. So there's different forces in play here that you need to understand, right? And that makes trading very difficult, but don't get caught up in all the noise. Understand what's happening, and then you can come back and really piece it together. Okay, so when I'm looking back here at the sort of major instruments and trying to work out, okay, is a risk on, risk off day? Well, I know the markets have just reset, but the majors, there's no rhyme or reason here at the moment. So just focus on the short-term outlook until we get the big macro data next week. We get the RBA, the Fed, the ECB meetings. We've got a lot of data to come out. Now today, for my liking, this cheeky Kiwi number, right? ANZ business confidence numbers. You know, in the years gone by, this was an absolute nothing number. It wasn't even on the radar. But a few years back, it sort of fell off from like being plus 10 to minus 70, and Kiwi dropped 200 points. Keep an eye on this. The RBNZ's raised rates very aggressively. I think that's going to shatter the business confidence in New Zealand. So there could be a bit of a downside trade in that instrument, right? So just keep an eye on that. Then you've got, just to finish the week, we've got the GDP numbers. You know what? I don't think they're going to be any significance, right? Unless there was some massive variance there. And then you come into Friday and you're having a look across the board here. Don't forget, we already know these meetings are next week. We've got the non-farm payrolls as well, a whole range of stuff. There's some GDP numbers here out of Europe Friday, but really the key is the PCE price index numbers, okay? The personal spending as well on Friday. So in the US, that'll determine maybe somewhat how that US dollar reacts into the start of next week before the Fed. Outside of that, as I said, there's not a hell of a lot to go by. So just keep your trade size, you know, sort of moderate. If anything, this is a week where you just want to tap in a few extra bucks if you can. Otherwise, but most importantly, you don't want to like finish the week with less cash in your account, because next week we're going to have a lot of gangbuster data as the new month starts. And that's where we are, guys. It's not exactly clear across the board. They look like there's some good setups, and all of a sudden the market is has got the jitters. And that's, as I said, revolving around a big shift in some of the sentiment, especially around the US economy, the banking sector. You know what? There's still some worms in that sector there that need to come out. I'll tell you what, if the market's factoring those into the equities, I'd say some people know about it, but not all of us at the moment. So just keep your eyes on the screens for any updates. All right, guys, that's it for me. Sorry I can't be more helpful.